Martio here. Welcome to a brand new show, video series, whatever you want to call it. And it's the Sophomore Drome. It is like Battle of the Debuts, but it's the sophomores. And in quoting from Mad Max #3, only 2 people enter the Drome, 1 will only leave. And this is the same case here. We're going to take, each week, we're going to take 2 sophomore albums, or the second albums of a band, pull them apart like we used to, and then I'll say which is my favourite, and then you guys decide which is your favourite. And to make it add a little bit of spice, Dave will be keeping count of how many times you beat me over the next month or so. So good luck everybody, and we're going to kick off with 2 sort of glam hair metal bands from the 80s, one being Bon Jovi and the other being Cinderella. 2 bands that sort of started round about the same sort of time and period, and their music's very, very similar, so I thought this would be a good one to start with. Now, first, as we used to, the album that came out first goes first. In this case, it was Bon Jovi. Now, Bon Jovi, we all know about Bon Jovi. They've got a new album out at the moment, which I will be reviewing tomorrow. Hence, another reason why I did this today. So, 7,100 Degrees Fahrenheit was released on the 27th of March 1985. And it featured, of course, John Bon Jovi on lead and backing vocals, additional rhythm guitar and noise, apparently. Richie Sambora on guitars, the late Alec John Such on the bass, the ever-present Tico Torres on the drums, and Mr. David Bryan on the keyboards. So track 1 of this album was a bit of a hit for them, and it's In and Out of Love. I think this is a good track. I always thought this is a good track. John sounded great back in the day. Some great guitar work on here from Richie as well. It's a pretty good track. The Price of Love. Now this one is got some good guitar work from Richie. Some nice little licks on this. So yes, it's pretty good. Then we have Only the Lonely. Some really good keyboard work from David Bryan. It was very radio friendly, this track was. Very catchy tune though, I must admit, very catchy tune. Up next is King of the Mountain. Now this has got a really good bass line from Alex. And it's just feature a lot of good drumming from Tico as well. It's not a bad track. One of the better sort of tracks at this period in rock music. Then we have Silent Night. Yeah, not one of my favourite tracks. Very MTV fodder. It's got a nice little keyboard run at the beginning, but that's the thing. Then my favourite on this is actually the song Tokyo Road. I just love this. I don't know why, it just brings back lots of memories. The Hardest Part is the Night. Got a really nice keyboard start. It's not a bad ballad actually. One of the better ballads of the 80s. Always Run to You, a good little rocker this is. Lots of 80s production on it of course, but it's still pretty meaty. To the Fire. Horrible keyboard at the beginning, but once you get away from the keyboard start, the drumming from Tico Torres is excellent. I do like his drumming on there. Secret Dreams, very good track. Typical early Bon Jovi track with some great riffs and licks from Richie and a fantastic solo. Good track to end the album. Now, it's always very hard to come up with a great sophomore album after you've had a really good debut album. Now that debut album is pretty solid. This isn't. I don't think this is as good as the debut, but it has got some really good tracks on it. I do like playing this from time to time, and they really started it hitting their stride in the next album, of course. But on the whole, it's been nice to listen to this. Since I got my new record player back in January, I have listened to this a few times, and it's a bit nostalgic. I've got a lot of nostalgia feel for this. So that's what I think, but what did the critics think of this? So this album is quite a bit of a fan favourite. The band was unsatisfied with the sound and essentially disowned it once, believe it or not. It sounds good live, but they don't play many of the songs live now. I think Tokyo Road gets an outing now and again, and I've heard it in and out of love. John Bon Jovi actually said, "I've always overlooked the second album. Always have, always will. We had no time to make it," which is quite true. There was so much pressure. So what did there's no critics marks, but let's see what the fans overall thought about it. So in Australia it got to number 28 in their charts, number 6 in Finland, in Germany number 40, Japan 5, New Zealand 48, Swedish albums was number 10, Swiss 11, here in the UK 28, and only 37 in America. So it was more popular over here, and I can remember at the time how popular it was. It did get some certifications. It went platinum in Canada, went silver here, and platinum in America. So it has become more popular, I think, as time goes on, which actually does happen. Albums, you've got more affection for it now than back in '85. But I've always liked this album. So it's a long time since I said this. So let's have the nuts and bolts of this album. So the song quality on here. John Bon Jovi does write some good songs, and him and Richie have always made some solid songs. The songs on here are really good. I think this, even the ones with the bad production on it, the words are good, and so I'm going to give this 4 out of 5. The production on it, as John Bon Jovi said, the band were never satisfied for it. It is a little bit smooth, but when you have heard these tracks live, they do sound better live. Now, a mate of mine saw them at Donington in '85, and he said that the songs on this album did sound a lot heavier live, which always seems to have happened. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 5. Reception. It didn't go down too well with critics, but the fans seem to like it. So I'm going to give that a 3 out of 10. Now the cover design. It's quite bright and bold. You've got sort of John's hair in a sort of flamey sort of thing, and them piercing eyes. It's a little bit thing. I'm going to give this a 3. I think 3 out of 5. So for 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit, gives it a grand total of 13 out of 20. So let's move on to the second contender. I've got something in my eye. In the Sophomore Drome, and it's Cinderella. Now again, these were formed in 1983 in Philadelphia, Clifton Heights to be precise, by Tom Kiefer and Eric Brittingham. Now their first album was a slow burner, but when they brought out their second album on July 1988 called Long Cold Winter, it really put them on the map. They didn't last long, they weren't around, but this album was big in America. So the people playing on this are Tom Kiefer on electric and acoustic guitars, steel guitars, harmonica and vocals, and he actually produced the album as well. Jeff LaBarre on guitars, Eric Brittingham on bass. Now it says on the album cover Fred Coury, but he doesn't play on here because all the drums except one track. Now one track, track 5, is done by Denny Kamasi, but the rest are done by the legend that is Cozy Powell. And additional musicians, Jay Levin did some steel guitar. So let's have a look at this album. First track is Bad Seamstress Blues, Fallin. That's an absolutely brilliant track. The harmonica at the brilliant at the good. Some great drumming on here. It is going to be great because it's Cozy. Absolutely brilliant track. What an opener. Next up is probably what is my favourite song by Cinderella ever. It's the great Gypsy Road. That opening riff. Tom's had that real gravelly voice, of course. It's just absolutely brilliant track. Always like that one. Don't know what you got until it's gone. Now I've always thought that this is a power ballad, and I've always thought that Cinderella's power ballads are some of the best. I think it's something to do with the way that Tom sings them. I like this track. It's the riffs are good from Jeff. It's a solid track. The Last Mile. Yeah, this is the one on here that's not particularly good. It is overproduced. Even they've tried to tame the monster that was Cozy Powell, and you don't do things like that to Cozy. This is one of the best drummers ever. Stop it. Second Wind, great little rocker. Absolutely 100 miles an hour rocker. Gravelly voice, great riffs, solid as you like. We'll turn it over to side 2. Long Cold Winter is a bluesy track. I do like this. It's got a great guitar solo from Jeff LaBarre. Then if you don't like it, crisp, hard hitting drums from the Powell. Wonderful Tom vocal. It's really good. Then we have Coming Home. It's very MTV, but it's a very good track. Probably one of my favourite ballads by Cinderella. Absolutely top drawer. It's not. The words are not sloppy. There's some great power chords in this. You just can't go wrong with that one. Fire and Ice, another great rocker. Now this is one of Tom's best vocals on this album. There's some great guitar work from both Jeff and Tom. It's a real brilliant track. Take Me Back, another solid rocker. We've got a great bass line on here from Eric. Absolutely brilliant. Great track to end the album. Now this is an album that I had on cassette and I played it to death. I haven't got a copy of it as such, a physical copy. It's one that I am looking out for, of course. Every record fair I go to, I go straight into the glam rap metal and trying to find this. It's just one of my guilty pleasure albums. I absolutely adore this. So that's what I think of it. So what do the old critics think? Positive reviews. And the Modern Music review similarly polarised. Steve Huey said Long Cold Winter was a transition album for Cinderella, mixing pop metal tunes with better hooks than on the Night Songs album. It's more of a gritty blues rock a la Stones or Aerosmiths. Mr. Martin Popoff was a little harsher in judgment and wrote, Cinderella strive to be the next Stones or Aerosmith, not realising that such talents are both rare and natural without the gift of conviction. Jeff Barton re-evaluated this in the classic rock album and praised the band for their change of music style and called Long Cold Winter a minor classic. Chuck Eddy of Rolling Stone in 2019 praised the album, wrote, "In retrospect, Long Cold Winter ranks with any blues rock of the 80s. That's pretty good." So what did the critics think? Well, All Music gave it 4 out of 5 stars. All Classic Rock gave it 8 out of 10. Collector's Guide to Heavy Metal gave it a 5 out of 10. Kerrang gave it a 2 and a bit. And Rock Hard 8.5 out of 10. Not bad scores. How did it do in the charts? Well, in Australia it peaked at number 32, Canada 24, Finland 15, Germany 24, Japan 19, Norway 7, Sweden 38, Switzerland 7. Here in the UK number 30, but in America a top 10 album. Pretty impressive. Certifications. Did quite well, 2 times platinum in Canada, gold in Switzerland, silver here, and 3 times platinum in America. So we'll have a look at the nuts and bolts of this one. Song quality. Again, once again, the quality of songs on this is pretty good. There's some great songs on here, so I shall give that 4 out of 5. Production, very good production. It's got a little bit of 80s, but because of their gritty guitar work and Tom's voice, you couldn't smooth that out if you tried. I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Reception, fans liked it, the critics liked it. Went to sell a bucket load full, so I'm going to give that a 4 out of 5. Cover design, very boring, isn't it? But at least it says what it says on who it is. The colour, I think that purpley colour works, so I should give that a 3 out of 5. So the grand total for Long Cold Winter by Cinderella is 15 out of 20. So we do have a clear winner in points. It is Cinderella, and I totally agree with how I've ranked that, because out of the 2 albums, the Cinderella doesn't half kick the other one into touch. So for me, Cinderella is this week's winner. But now you get a chance to vote and see if you agree with me or not. As usual, the poll goes up in community at about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I will put it in as a little mini poll in the live stream tonight. So it's nice back doing this. Just have a think about it. Go and have a listen to some of the tracks. I'll put them in a playlist, and there we go. Okay, up next is Pick a Mix, and it's a top 10 this week, and it's the UK top 10 for the 13th of June 1986. So I shall see you for that later. Bye for now.